and welcome back to Quilts Bloom at Dawn. I have been trying to get caught up on some of the blocks that I shared with y'all last week. The blocks from the Barnstar Sampler and Sherry McConnell's Blocks of the Month. I'll share that with you in a few minutes, but I'm also so excited. Our laundry basket trip around the island today, we are going to be actually cutting our units down, so I'm really excited about that. Hopefully you are working on this. I ended it last week with getting all of our units made. I think I had gotten as far as E, and I did get them all finished. So we'll work on that a little bit later, but first I wanted to show you blocks that I've been working on for my Barnstar, and wanted to just show you. This is what it's, the Barnstar Sampler by Shelly Kavanaugh. So these are her 16-inch blocks for this project. And so here's block 5. And so I made, for each of these, it's 2 of each of them. Then I did block 6. This was the Moroccan Star. I just thought it was so pretty. I loved this one too. All the different blues. And that's really how she did it. She just did plays on blues throughout. So I don't know, she's just got such an eye. All right, then block 7, the Friendship Star. And I got that one done, so that was block 7. And to be honest, I think if I had to pick a favorite, just of all the stars I've done, this is probably my favorite block. All right, and then block 8, which is called the Farmer Star. I really love this one. And you know what I used for this one? This was some of the Marcus fabric that I'm also using for the laundry basket, as well as this right here is actually laundry basket's print. So I used, like I said, a little bit of everything. Okay, the other project that I've been working on is, that I was behind on, was the Sherry McConnell Block of the Month. And I know several of you responded back that y'all are working on this same project too. This is a free block of the month, and it's so easy. And that's what I love about our projects, whereas the Barnstar Sampler is, it takes hours to do one block. That is so, I wouldn't say it's hard, it's just tedious because it's a lot of flying geese, folded corners. I mean, it just takes, it's a lot of pieces to those. So those take time. The Fig Tree Christmas one that I've been working on, that one I would say is advanced. It's still skill building, and those are important. The Barnstar is important because that's improving my skills. The Fig Tree, as challenging as it is, overall it's improving my ability as a quilter. So I do believe those projects have their place. But if that's all I was doing was projects like that, I think I'd lose my enthusiasm for quilting, which is why having simpler projects, quicker projects, they have their place too. And so this log cabin block of the month, again, it's free. I'm pulling from my own stash. I am so glad I'm doing this, and I wanted to get caught up. Very first month, January's, which if you go to her website, you can download, it's on her blog, you can download the pattern, and she has it every month. She drops the next pattern. But the first one, the January one, gave you the setting for it, and then basically each month she gives you that center block. And that's what changes every month. So I went on ahead and got caught up through July now. So this was the Friendship Star. The other block that I just finished for July was the Turn Dash, and I love this one. I ended up fussy cutting the center for this. Anyway, I'm caught up, officially, I'm caught up, other than my Fig Tree. I still haven't done that one yet, but I really want to save that one till I start working on Christmas projects. I really want to work on some of my summer projects first. Last week, I had focused on patterns and how we organize them, and I shared how I use my comic book boards to label them in this basket, and how that has been the most efficient method for me. And Okie Stitches shared a comment that I wanted to share with you all, and what I plan to incorporate, because I mentioned how while I have it broken down by designer, The negative to this method is you really don't have it broken down by pre-cut, whether they're using a jelly roll or a layer cake or fat quarters, fat eighths. That really, if you're looking for a jelly roll pattern, you've got a jelly roll you want to use and you're just looking for that, looking by designer is not really an efficient method, right? And I mentioned how in my phone, which is how I purchase most of my patterns now, so I do have it broken down. I actually keep the separate file by designer, and I have it again broken down by jelly roll. So that's the beauty of digital, right? But if you've got paper patterns, which a lot of us do, I mean, I still get some patterns, paper version, and I certainly have a lot from my past. So how do we go about breaking that down further? You know, and my challenge had been if I did it strictly by jelly roll, well, that locks me in, and really you could use a layer cake for that. And certainly you could use yardage, right? So I didn't like the fact that breaking it down like that limited me, especially if there was a certain pattern that I was looking for, or like I said, maybe I have a layer cake that really I could use another pre-cut with, and I felt like that would limit me. So Okie Stitches shared an idea, and that is keep it broken down by designer, but include a breakdown within that of jelly roll and layer cake. And so what I'm planning to do, I haven't done it yet because like I said, I just got this idea. I will put a little, I'll tape a little sheet on here that has a breakdown of all of that designer's patterns. And in that, I'll list out jelly roll or layer cake. And again, that's thanks to Okie Stitches for that idea. So glad you shared that with us because we can all benefit from it. So thank you so much. The other thing I thought I would share is in the front, I did not mention this last week. In the front, I just have on the ones that I'm looking at doing maybe soon, ones that kind of interest me right now. For example, this is a Layla Boutique pattern. I'm considering this one as a fall project. This is another one, Missouri Star, Cottage Stars as a table runner. Castle Courtyard, this isn't It's So Emma. I've always loved this one. So that's one I'm considering. This is on my top of my list. I want to do Layla Boutique, the Tulip Shop. Still really want to do this one. This that I'm kind of looking at in the near future doing. I just kind of keep them in the front. And then once that season goes by, if I know I'm not going to get to it, then I'll put it back. But these are the ones that, like I said, are interesting me right now, as obviously I can't do them all, but it's the ones that I'm kind of looking at, trying to do in the near future. Once I've perused and found the ones that appeal to me for this current year, I just put them in the front. Like I said, I know I'm not going to get to all of those, but it's nice to have them pulled. And so rather than going back through them all, I'll just grab this to kind of look for a new project. I thought that I would continue our focus on organizing because what I've discovered is organizing our quilt things is a big deal for a lot of us, right? And we all have to make our space work for us, right? And the most efficient method possible. So I wanted to continue that. So we've talked about how we keep our patterns. We've talked about how we do our pre-cuts and our yardage. One of the things I haven't shown though was, and I just thought I would share that today, is how we manage our background fabrics and our backings, because those you need really for every project, right? And so rather than having those intermixed with my yardage, I have those separated out. So I'm going to show you that today. So first I wanted to show you how I manage my backgrounds. And this is going to be my neutrals. Now if I'm doing a colored background, that would be in my yardage. But if I'm my creams and white on whites, I try to keep those separated out. And this is the one thing that I definitely buy on a bulk. The neutrals, the backgrounds that I'm going to use the most because I go through it so fast. So what I have here is, let's see, my Bella This is my favorite one right here. And this one, which one is it? Number 9900. And this is the Bella Silky White bleached. And so I use a lot of this one. And the other one I still have left over. It's a little bit more creamy. And it's Riley Blake. And it is vintage white. And then this one is actually not a solid. It is a background, but it's Shoreline. It's her background from her Shoreline collection. And oh my goodness, I just loved it. And it's got little dots on it. Just a few others so these, I don't have as much of these, but it just shows you. This is one that has snowflakes. It's a white on white. I know you probably can't see the detail of these, but again, these are what I would consider true backgrounds. I have a few others that start getting into a little bit more of the taupe color, but I really can use those for sashings and within my quilt. So I didn't keep them strictly as backgrounds. So this is how like I said, most of the things I buy yardage. This is the one thing I've gotten into buying bolts of, simply because I use so much of it, and it's priced. You can get a better price when you buy it by the bolt. So that's how I do my backgrounds. And like I said, I had a few others. I think I pulled some of them out for current projects, but that's how I work with my backgrounds. Whew, this is a workout. So normally, like I said, all of this is in these big totes that I keep in, these fabric bins that I keep in my closet. My husband is looking forward to when I do get a sewing room, he gets his closet back. A whole section of our master closet is just nothing but quilty things now. So, but he's been such a trooper. He put more shelves in and everything, secured them to where they can handle more weight, because let me tell you, those shelves are getting a workout. But anyway, so this is my backings. So there's nothing worse than you finish a project and you know you've still got to come up with a backing, right? And that's a lot of fabric. It adds a lot of cost right at the end. And I just hate that feeling of I finish a project and I know I really can't even start basting and quilting it till I get that backing. And it can be, if you don't get it on sale, you're going to spend quite a bit of money. Now, I do love to do pieced backs. That really gives a pretty look. I'm able to use up fabric and I'm able to take care of the back that way. So I do that for some of my projects, but I do love to get my backings. When I can get things on a good sale, I stock up. So sometimes I buy the 108s for the bigger projects that I do. So when I can get a good deal on those. But sometimes you just get a really good deal on yardage. When you can get yardage for $6 or $7 a yard, I stock up. That's the perfect time to go ahead and buy enough of it if it's something you really like and you think it would be a pretty back. So I'm not just looking at yardage for my fronts. I'm really looking at yardage for future back projects. I hope that you're finding all of the organization tips helpful. Like I said, it's behind quilting, organizing things is probably my second favorite thing to do. And I just love to look for the most efficient method to utilize the things that I have to make it as easily as I can, as accessible as I can, so I can get more done. But today we are ready to start our laundry basket trip around the island. And when we left off, like I said, we were in process of making our units. And so here are all my units, and I have them marked with my little stickers, A all the way through V. V was the very last one, and there it is. The single strip was our V. How do you like that? So now that we have all of our strips made, all of our units made, it's time to cut them up. And so that's what we'll be working on. Today, the goal is going to be to get all of our units cut and then to begin sewing our triangles to the end of each of those. So that's the goal for this week, is to get this cut and that sewn on the end of each. So let's get started. Okay, so out in front of me I have, so first of all I have unit A that we made, which is the longest strip, right, or the longest unit. It's got all 22 strips that are in this. As we do this step of the process, it's going to get easier, because obviously the longer it is, the more careful we're going to have to be with our cutting. So what I'm going to do is, if for whatever reason yours are wrinkled, you might want to just go ahead and freshen it up. I just repressed mine. I'm going to go ahead and I want to line this up as carefully as I can, because like I said, when I cut, now some of you may prefer to cut the whole length of it, but I tend to cut mine just like this, where I get it down to size. So this is my 22-inch strip. I have it lined up as carefully as I can. And the first thing we're going to do is just trim the very edge off, just because you want to have a nice clean edge. And she purposely leaves you with a little bit of extra on either end. All right, so you can see I just barely took any off, just so I want to have that nice clean edge there. I'm actually going to use my strip ruler for this, but if you don't have this, you would go ahead per the pattern. And we're on page 2 of the pattern. We just did that where we trimmed the edge. That was number 3. And so now I'm going on to the cutting of the units. So that's number 4 of page 2. That's where I'm at in the process. And so if you don't have something like this strip ruler, if I didn't have that, I would just be using my ruler and cutting these to size. Each one of your units should make 4 of our strips that we'll be cutting now. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this, like I said, using my strip ruler. I'm going to get it as careful as I can here. All right, so I had this much left over that I didn't need, and here they are. Look at this. Got our unit nice and cut and ready to go. So this is still unit A, but our unit A is cut into 4 strips. And what we'll end up doing with these, just to kind of give an idea of what this is going to look like, they basically break this down into 4 groups. Is going to be the next. And we'll use one of these for each of our groups. But for now, I'm going to keep my sticker A, and I'm going to set this aside. It is cut, unit A. And my tray, I removed all of the units off the tray. So the only thing I have sitting here now is my triangles. So now I'm going to just go ahead and start adding my units back on here. So keeping those stickers is definitely important. Unit B, we're going to do the same thing over and over. If it needs a press, now would be the time to do that. You definitely don't want to have anything that's going to be wrinkly. You want to get this as straight as possible. So I definitely line this up carefully. Flatten it out. Because you're trimming off the edges, you don't have to worry about it lining up just perfectly, but the more careful you can be with this step, the better. But we do have a little bit of wiggle room. Okay. Move my sticker to the side and trim off just the very, very edge of this. All right, now I'm going to use my strip ruler. This is a Stripology, Creative Grid Stripology ruler, and they have a bigger one than this. This is, it goes to 12.5 inches going at the bottom, and like I said, I just use this line. That's where I align it, and it's nice. It has a place for your ruler to go in, or excuse me, for your rotary cutter to go in, and it does a really good job. All right, once you've got them nice and aligned, go ahead and make your strips. You want to do this carefully because you've put a lot of work into making these units, and it would not be fun to have to go make a new unit. All right, so here's a unit B. That's going to be so pretty. I'm so excited about this. All right, so I'm going to, again, just do like my last one and stack these. Unit B, got 4 of them, got my sticker on them, ready to go. I will put this behind Unit A. Moving on to Unit C. So you kind of get the idea. So I'll put on some music that my son has made for us and keep working on our little strips. At this point, when you get to Unit F, if you fold it over once, it's just under 18 inches long. And so if you're not using one of these strip rulers, you could probably use an 18-inch ruler at this point if you have that, and cut that nicely and not have to fold it over into fourths. I'm still going to continue doing that with mine since my space is only about 12 inches. Okay, when you get to unit K, it's finally folded over. It's less than 12.5 inches. So if you're using a 12.5 inch ruler, you only have to fold over once at this point. If you're using a stripology, this one in particular that goes up to the 12 inches, you should be good to go with that as well. So we're making progress. When you get to strip Q, it should be small enough. It doesn't even have to be folded over. You can just cut it with a 12.5 inch ruler, or if you're using your strip ruler, it should be small enough. So we are winding down. All the cutting of the strips is done. So I now have my tray refilled, A through V, but now they're in 4 strips for each unit. And the next step will be attaching or sewing on our triangles to the end of most of the strips. So if you're following along with your pattern, we will be on page 3, number 5. We are ready to start adding our triangles. So there's 2 different triangles, number 23 that we cut. There were 2 different types of triangles. Our half square triangles, which are a little smaller, and there's only 4 of them. We're gonna set these aside. We're not gonna need these for right now. The big stack of triangles, our quarter square triangles, that's what we're gonna be using. So it's a bunch of those. We're gonna go ahead and attach every one of those to our strips now, to almost all the strips. The other thing you're gonna set aside for right now is unit A. That's gonna become our corners. So we're gonna set unit A and the half square triangles aside. Everything else is every one of our B through V are all gonna get a triangle attached to it now. So I've done the first one just to show you what you'll want to do is just align the edge of the triangle with the edge of your strip. So I went on ahead and cut, but you could see, like, if I was attaching this now, when you put it on, your allowance, your 1/4 inch allowance, it's going to be right there on the end, and that'll get snipped at the end. I'm not going to press them right now. I'm going to wait and press them when I get a bunch of them, and then I'll just press them all at once. But you're going to want to make sure when you press in the direction that the rest of the strip is pressed. So this one is pressed up, so I pressed this triangle up. As you begin attaching this, so when I'm doing B, I'm going to go ahead and begin, so there's 4 B's, I'm going to start setting them in 4 stacks. So as I sew the triangle on, I'll have B, 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 B. Then I'm going to sew my C triangles. I'm going to put it behind my B's. So I'll have BC, 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 BC. When I get to the next one, D, same thing. So essentially, we're making it easier on ourselves. We're dividing our unit strips into 4 stacks, B through V. Now A, you can go ahead and put A in it as well. A can go and be on the top, but we're just not adding a triangle to that yet. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. By the way, if you're looking at your pattern, all of the directions for what I'm doing right now, it's on page 3, and it's section 5. And it even has a picture so you can see exactly what, when we add all these triangles, what it's going to look like. So like I said, if you don't have the pattern, this is one you definitely need. So go ahead and take a look at that to give you a point of reference. So I've just done 1 strip. I'm not going to press it yet, and I'm not even going to snip it yet. But I am going to go ahead and start putting them in my different columns. All right, so I've got unit B in 4 different stacks here, and I'm going to just keep going. So I'm moving on to my C's. All right, so I just finished unit C. I'm going to go ahead and snip and press after I get all of one done, and I add it to my stack. I know everything's done on it. For snipping, I have found that the easiest way to do it, just cut it with some scissors. All right, so at this point, I have my B and C done. And if you notice, I have 4 units, the 4 strips of B and C separated out. So this is a BC, 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 BC. And as I finish the 4, I go ahead and trim it and press it. And that way we'll be set up for the next step when we begin sewing everything together that'll be in each of these units. And this will then make up the 4 sections that were of the 4 groups that we'll be putting together. So we're setting ourselves up for the next step. So I am moving on to D, and I'm just going to keep doing the same method where I basically sew the triangle on for all 4. Then I take it and snip it, press it, and add it to my 4 piles for units, for each of the units. So that's what I'll be working on all the way, B through V. Remember, A is set aside along with our half square triangles, so 4 half square triangles, and unit A is set aside. However, now that we're actually got these separated out, we can go ahead and put our A's with our 4 piles if you prefer, or you can wait till the end. That way you can kind of follow along. But basically our A's, I'll add them to the top of each of these before I put this away. So I'm going to go ahead and keep working on attaching all these triangles, getting it the end snipped and pressed, and adding them to our units. And we'll check back in once I get hopefully all of this done. Okay, I am back. And boy, that took a little while to get all those little triangles attached, but I finished those out. And on my tray here, I'm finished up with 4 groups. So it was 1 of each, so I went on ahead and separated them out. So I'm down to my 4 groups. Just make sure you keep those neat and straight, and I just put a sticker, so I have groups 1, 2, 3, and 4. So if you're looking on page 4 of your pattern, number 6, it basically says to go ahead and separate your unit strips into the 4 groups. So rather than waiting and doing that, I thought it made more sense to just do it with our last step. 1 is going to be group 1, 2, 3, 4. So you can go ahead and label those. But for group 1, it's going to start with unit A through V. So basically it's going to have all 22 colors in it. Then it says groups 2 and group 3 are going to start with unit B. So basically it's 2 through 22. 2 and units 3. I took out that first strip. And this first strip was the one with all 22 and it has no triangle on it. So those 2 and 3 are not going to have that initial strip in it. So set these aside. And then for group 4, you're going to remove both the number 1 and the number 2. 1 through 22, this was 2 through 22. So I went on ahead and removed both of these. So this basically starts with what would have been our 3rd color. So that way it's going to give them, they're going to align the way they're supposed to if done in that way. And then, like I said, I went on ahead and labeled them. So that's as far as we're going to get today. We'll start with, but this is going to set you up for next week when we do our next step, which is we're sewing our groups together, groups 1, 2, 3, and 4. So all of these will be sewn together, and we'll do that the same to each. So it's getting exciting. We're getting close to the end, but everything's been leading up to this point, which is where we're going to really see the look of the quilt begin to come together. So it's going to be a lot of fun. As far as these leftovers, basically you can use these for any project. I thought what I might do is cut them down and maybe use them, make a pillow out of it. Not sure, but basically you can, use it for anything. You can make pot holders out of it. So whatever you want to do with these extras, it's enough to really do something cute with though. The last thing I wanted to show you before we close today is a little quilt that I just finished. It is the sweetest little baby quilt. And this is a Maple Cottage Designs. I was able to use some fabrics that I had from my stash and put this together. And I just thought it was such a sweet pattern, made a perfect little baby quilt. And this is a batik that I used for the back that I had on hand. And I quilted it with my serpentine stitch. Chained together, I had everything I needed right here on hand. So I was able to put this together. So I just wanted to share that with you. I was actually able to get this done pretty quickly. And like I said, it's just using, if you have a charm pack, this is a great project to do with a charm pack and a little bit of background. And then all you need is a little something for your border and your binding. So this is definitely Maple Cottage. She has some really sweet, pretty simplistic patterns that I've made several of them, but I love the way they come together. I've used, like I said, I've used them on a variety of projects, but for something like a baby quilt especially, it was just perfect. So I just thought I would show you one more thing that I had been working on recently. Well, that's going to do it for today. So hope that you have learned a little something that you didn't know before on organization. And if you have ideas that you'd like to share, tips that you would like to share with us, please feel free to put them in the comments below. And we also have Quilts Bloom at Dawn on Facebook. We have a group site that we'd love for you to join. And it's a great way for you to share your current works in progress. We'd love to see what you're working on. And also we just like to encourage one another, share tips. So definitely join that if you haven't already. And if you haven't subscribed, go ahead. If you're enjoying these videos, please subscribe, give us a like, and share it with others. We want to definitely watch our channel grow. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. And until next time, happy quilting.